Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my shop. Welcome to my channel. My name's Keith and I'm your host. Come on in. Let's see what our next video is all about. All right, you're getting ready to go in and watch Buffy's Back, part 9. And I'm here just to bring in a little announcement. You want to catch a couple things that I'm not going to video, I'm not going to create a video, but I am posting on social media. On my MeWe platform, you can catch some highlights of other things that I do besides what you see in my YouTube and Rumble videos. All right, go on in and check out the part 9, and I'm gonna get busy on this. All right, now we're gonna mount the trip handle for the feed, but before we do that, we've got this gear cog that's got to go in. I'm gonna throw some grease in here on the cog on the inside here and on the gear. We already took our brush and went inside there and got all those gears. Okay, looks like we're ready to go. Okay. All right, now the next thing that's in line is this piece here, and we're going to go ahead and squirt a little oil right here and on this face here, a little bit on the bore. We're disengaging the drop pin that needs to go into there. We're going to leave this so that we can flip it back and forth like this, because we need to put this pin in that little groove right there. So everything has got to come into play at the same time as we push in. There we go. Okay. And just holding it in there, you can tell that it's working properly. Okay, for this part right here. All right, now we got 2 Allen screws that are going to hold that in. We're going to put those in next. Okay, you tension those 2 up, and you just make sure that this is sliding freely in here, because this can rock a little bit and you don't want to have any bind in there. So as long as you've done that, and tighten it, snug these down, you're in the proper location. Love the way new assembly sounds when it sounds like that. Okay, this next collar actually goes on here, and it has two parts. One, it has the key and a set screw, and the other has a port with a spring-loaded ball bearing that goes in and lets the detent work for to hold it engaged in two directions. This is your direction control here. You're in and out. All right, so first off, you got to put a key in this keyway here. And I'm going to grab the proper tool for putting that in there. Smooth-sided knips are like some of the best for putting keyways in because they're flat and they're just like little pliers, and it just push that thing right in there. Okay, now this should just slide right on, right over there. Okay, cool. Remember, that pinhole has got to come out towards you. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and we're just going to put some oil on the back face of this. Oil on there. Alright, and 1/8 inch set screw right here. Locks that in. Alright, and now we can rotate this around. And here's the port for the spring-loaded detent. And well, I tell you what, that I don't know if I can get that screw started right there or not. So we're going to loosen up this so that we got a little bit of motion on it. And okay. Not quite flush. I'm going to see if there's a missing washer that goes in behind there. Okay, there is not by the drawing there. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop our ball bearing in there. And we are going to grease up the spring that's going to fit into this pocket. And we're going to screw that into there. And we're going to let that find its position on the ball detent. Okay, and I can feel the ball detent working in here. All right, now I'm going to tighten up the set screw on the key, and we're going to call that the location. Okay, and we're going to just double check our fit for our handle. There we go. Perfect. It works in no matter which direction, which is good. And then in neutral, actually, where's neutral? Oh, that's neutral from the feed. Okay, so you can go either direction unless you pop it out, then it's total neutral. Awesome. Okay, let's put together our linkage here that's going to trip off the auto trip, the scale and screw assembly here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring this up through here. We got to put the snap ring on because the snap ring locks this in place. And then we're changing out, instead of having the old screw adjustment vernier on here, we're going to put our new push button quick release here so that we can adjust this any way we want. Alright, and then we need to raise this up. This slot has got to go in this line right here. You have a trip foot here and the linkage here, and it's got to line up in the top here with this porthole so that the dog bone goes through here, and that trips it when it's in the full up position. We're going to test that out in a minute because we have a slide piece and another piece in there. And we'll go ahead and we'll lower this on down about halfway right now because we're going to go ahead and put the snap ring in here first. Snap ring pliers. Alright, snap ring is in place. This dog bone is held in with the screw, and this little push finger here goes underneath this side over here, and this rod here is a little nub on this side about a 1/4 inch diameter that actually pushes and releases the same pin that locks that in when it's there. Okay, so this would be, you either trip it manually or trip it this way, or the clutch will throw out and it will trip it. So it trips 3 different ways. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to oil this up, and we're going to slide that right into place there. Alright, and we can feel that motion there. This finger has got to hold that up. We're going to squirt some oil on here. Plenty of oil is going to get squirted all over this thing after we're done. And it also has to line this up here. Now this pin has got to go in there, and it's got to hold that, but I know from experience that it makes it a big difference if you semi-align that hole first, just like that. Alright, pivot pins in there. Okay, that moves freely. And when that pressure comes down, actually you can see it here. Actually, it has to be feeding down, and then that pressure comes on there and trips it out. Okay, that's in the downward position. Now the trip linkage has an upper trip as well, so if you're feeding up and your quill hits full up position, it's got to trip out as well, and it trips that same linkage by using this dog bone here and a little push pad right here. So this went in here, and of course everything works better with a whole bunch of oil on it. And we're just going to oil the crap out of that as well. Okay, now we put this up here like this, and then we put the dog bone in, and you put it in with that little tit facing in. There's also a 632 or 620, I think it's 632 thread on that end of it. So if you need to pull that out of that hole right there, you just put a screw in there, and it will come out for you. Okay, there we go. We're in there. This is slightly sticking down below. Okay, I'm able to trip that by pushing it, but that's not sticking out very far at all. And I'm hoping now I could pull that out and change that out. I'm gonna go feel the one on Debbie and see how far she protrudes down there. It just doesn't seem like it's very much before it actually trips that. And there's adjustments for that as well. Alright, we checked the one on the other mill, and it's pretty darn close to that at the same. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to screw this little keeper screw here, and this is actually plugs the hole and keeps the little chingadero in there. Okay, right underneath here is an Allen that goes against the bottom of this, and I think that's what I need to loosen that up. Finally, we get to put our scale on the front here, and boy, does that look nice. Okay, it's the bottom edge of this that's the alignment. I was just kind of wondering about that. All right. Okay. We got to check out why. Oh, that's the short one. Okay, and that's the long one up there. All right. All right. Long one goes in there fine. Okay, let's see if we can get the short one in here now. I don't think that one's quite long enough. All right, I'm going to check one of the old ones there. Okay, I think it was it was. I don't know if it was that Allen screw or not. Let's see what's over in Debbie here. And Debbie has a different kind of screw there too. Yeah. All right. Well, if this Allen is the one that fits in there, it could be just a little bit longer. We might be able to. I think that's just a tiny bit too short. This one holds it, but we know it's only like a half a screw, so I'm not even going to try tightening that down. We're going to look for another one just like this, a little bit longer, and we're going to hand sand it till it's the perfect length to fit in there and not bottom out, and we'll go put Debbie's back in. Okay, we dropped our pin back down, and so we could drill and tap through there at 832 because the 632 was worn out from short screws and some other things being in there. And we drilled out the hole in our scale to match. We actually kind of reamed it. And let me go ahead and get my screwdriver in here. There we go. Okay. And let's put the other one in here. We want to make sure we're not bottoming out. I might have to take just a little bit off the length of it, but I think we're pretty close. Okay. It's got to have just a whisker more taken off of the end of it. Okay. And we got just a tool to hold that and do that. Okay, I think we got it all adjusted. 832 modified tapped hole here. Washer behind here because this was really binding in on this piece here. When it's down, it throws out pretty good. When it's there, when it goes up, trips. It trips that up there. You can roll it up here, rotate it around. That will have to get broken in. That definitely will have to get broken in. That's still a lot easier than threading that thing all the way up and down. You hold it all the way in, you can move it easy. Okay, if you want to know all the pros and cons about that, there's the first one. All right, this will have for the readout, and we'll be set and ready to mount that after we get it cleaned up. And I think we're pretty well ready to start playing with a few other features that start adding on to this. All right, we have some plastic bushings that we have to epoxy into the two sliding halves of the pulleys. You have this one here that slides on here, and this one here that slides on this shaft here, and those control the speed of the Bridgeport. Okay, our Buffy speed control is with these pieces. Now we need these to guide smoothly. Now I picked up a partial kit. At least the kit has the glue, and it had one set of bushings to fit the bigger of the two. The small pulley here, I had to actually take a bunch of these other sleeves here, and I cut off a portion with the razor blade, and then I sanded them and fit them until they came in and fit this bore. Alright, now the instructions actually tell you to remove the old bushings and use sandpaper to provided to scuff up the pulley, which we sandblasted the pulleys. And they didn't supply any sandpaper in there, but I being a machinist, I do have a piece of sandpaper here. I just ripped it off and brought it over here and misplaced it already. So, but I have plenty more on the roll. Okay, mix epoxy and apply to the inside of pulleys. Insert the keys, bushings, and slide them into the shafts approximately running position to ensure perfect fit. And then clean off your excess grease and epoxy. But it also makes sure that you clean the grooves, clean the inside grooves. It's because these bushings don't go in from the outside and shoulder to the outside. That shoulder registers into that groove, so that the bushings, even if they became loose, they would not travel. Okay, one more search for my emery paper, because I came over here, I set it down, and I moved a couple things, and alright, I gotta go get another piece of sandpaper so that I can scuff up the bearing. This is just regular emery, and I'm just making sure that I have a rough surface on the outside of this. I've already put these in place. I've already slid them onto the shaft, so I know that we are fitting. Okay, they say scuff that up. Okay, there's one. I'm just making sure I got scratches all over those. Okay, that's all scratched. The big ones. Okay, those are all scratched. Just to go through the motions. Okay. Now they want you to grease the two shafts, and I'm just using Vaseline here. Okay, in the shipyards we call this boy butter. Okay, just so I don't transfer any of this grease onto any of my stuff while I'm handling it, I'm going to go wash my hands, and then we're going to come back and we're going to mix up our double bubble urethane epoxy, and we're going to be mixing it on old welding lenses. I keep them around, make a perfect surface, and then when you're done, throw them away. Okay, this is double bubble urethane epoxy. Alright, I flattened out one side here. This is 50-50. Okay, that squeezed everything out of there. I don't know how old this package is. I know. Well, I've had it in my possession for 3 years now, right? I think I started Buffy back 3 years ago, 2017, something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do the small one first. Okay. The key goes in after. Now I'm going to take, I'm just kind of using common sense that I want this thing to be smaller. So I'm using my 1970s tool to hold that like that. And I'm just making sure that mostly I get that inside coated pretty good. I think they give you more than enough for each application here. Make sure you get plenty in the keyway there. Back and forth in there. Okay, I'm sure I got plenty of epoxy in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to set this down here and okay, looks like I got it popped in there. Okay, flip it over. Do the same thing on the other side with our 1970s tool. Okay, push that to the side. It looks pretty open in there for the key, I think. Okay, let's see if we can get the key in here. The key has a little keeper in it. I'm gonna get a screwdriver. I should have had one over here already, I guess. There we go. Okay, now we have that together. Now it said go ahead and put it on the shaft in approximately the right position. I'm gonna just make sure that I have plenty of Vaseline in the key there. Okay. Okay, that's pretty close to the running position. And now it says let it dry and cure right there. We already see that we have a little bit of epoxy up there. We'll just wipe that off. Okay, that's going to sit there like that till tomorrow. Now let's go ahead and do the big one. Okay, get rid of that mess. All right, let's make a new mess. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just knead each one of these just a little bit different because it was like it came out in chunkies there the last time. Okay, all right. I don't know if it makes a difference or not. Okay, hold these together. Yeah, I don't think so. It was pretty close to the same thing. All right, now this did work though, real good. Squeegee it out right there, just like that. Okay. Get the big bore over here ready. Okay, that's pretty well mixed up. Okay, we're all set with that. Holding it up to the light, I can see a little better. Okay, let's put the key in there. Okay, key's in there now. Looks good. Okay, and right in there is running position. Awesome. We're getting that much closer to slipping Buffy the spindle. Okay, we're getting started here this morning. We let this sit overnight. This is really kind of sticky, and it really has expanded. It's almost like expanding foam type of epoxies. So before I try sliding this, I want to cut away this material here, just so that it's not in, or making sure that it's not on the shaft itself. The other side over here looks like it's pretty well pushed over grease, and we'll just trim this off here. Okay, make sure nothing is stuck in here. All right, see if we can get this to move. Yep, okay. There we go. All right, looks really good in there. We're going to go ahead and trim this off now. Okay, and it said wipe off any of the grease, and it's ready to assemble. So that's what we're going to do. We'll get the other one ready here too. Then we'll get the rest of the components that these pulleys need to get them assembled. A little more stubborn. Alright, we'll get a couple blocks here and a couple heel bars pushing in here. We'll get it off of there. Okay, couple 1x3s here. All right. Pretty good. No Mars. Clean out the snap ring groove up here in the top and a little bit on the keyway. Trim that off. Alright, there's a few things that we need to assemble onto each of these sliding halves of the pulley system. And this gets a bearing that goes down on that register. And then this is the carrier for the bearing. And the top spring-loaded plate, or a crank plate, will be anchors on this end here, but it has a draw chain on this side here. Locates on this part here by a couple screws and a couple shouldered pieces there. So we're going to assemble the bearing onto here. We've already assembled the bearing in here before the shaft was installed on the back gear shaft. Well, this actually drives both back gear and direct by either engaging or disengaging the cog. All right, so that's for this assembly here. This motor side here is actually under constant spring pressure all the time. This is the spring, and then there's a retainer collar here. The retainer collar actually has a key in it, and it gets assembled all the way on there, past there, and then an E-clip ring going in here. Now we set up and have two pieces of all thread that help us compress this. Part of that compression is actually to release the belt tension to let you remove the motor and change the belt, and it's part of the process. So we will be putting that spring on, and there. We want to make sure that our holes are tapped out and free and clear and ready to accept those all threads. We forgot if we have done that since we painted this. Anytime we do sandblasting and painting, we clean out our threads with a tap. Okay, we tested our holes and they are free and clear. I'm going to put the spring on here. And then we're going to go ahead and put that. All we needed is enough to grab those nuts. Now these are just grade 2 or 5 or 2 on the all thread on the strength of it. It's what I got down at the hardware store. It's what I used to remove this, so I don't think it's an issue with how much compression it needs to have. And I can almost push this right on down here by hand and then just crank these down just to hold it. There we go. Okay, now you got this C-clip. Got the C-clip, and you got to put it in. Well, it really doesn't matter which way it's going in. It's easier to push it in that way. All right. Now we just push this down. And there we go. Now we will have to compress this down again to draw open this pulley. We're going to be compressing the spring so that'll let more room or more play in here. So when you have the main pulley opened up and this opened up, then the belt is free and you can pull the motor out. You can see that this bearing is locked up now, but I think it was just clickety click when I first took them apart. I'd have to review my videos from when I pulled them out, but here's the brand new ones. And I got rubber lip seals so that moisture doesn't get in there, and I believe that they're going to be a lot better bearing than a shielded bearing. Okay, we're going to go over to the arbor press and just press that together. We may put that one down in there first. And then press that down into there. Okay, arbor press handled that perfectly fine. We had a ring, well, we pressed this down into that bearing there. Press this, holding these two ears here. Press that on there, no issues. Okay, so this brand new bearings, both sides, the same bearing there as here. Both of them were a shield, both of them are sealed. Now, this can go on here like this and get bolted down with these two screws, kind of hold it into place. We'll put some never sees on that. That goes down in there like that, and then gets a snap ring on that. Okay, we'll get that snap ring cleaned up. We'll get never sees under those screws or on those screws there. And both of these units are now ready to assemble in near the final stage when we're buttoning up the top. Now let's head on over and slip Buffy the spindle.